What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at a middleweight out of Yonkers, New York. This fighter's name is Ralph Tigar Jones. Ralph Tigar Jones was a spoiler. And a spoiler was a fighter who had loads of experience, and he would be catching these up-and-coming fighters while they were learning the craft, and he would defeat them. A lot of times these fighters were brought in as a test to see if their fighter was up for the task for top 10 status. And Ralph Tigar Jones was one of those fighters. Ralph Tigar Jones, to compare him with a fighter of today's time, would be an Emmanuel Burden. Very good fighter. They pay Emmanuel Augustus to come in. He has a great old time in there. He gives these guys a tough time. Either they win or they lose. Ralph Tigar Jones obviously was a more aggressive and more serious fighter than Emmanuel Augustus, but that's the idea. Emmanuel Augustus could fight. He's just not an A-level fighter. So Ralph Tigar Jones was born in Brooklyn, New York, March 14th, 1928. He died in Queens, New York at the age of 66. He was a middleweight and had a trainer by the name of Gil Clancy. He had 89 total bouts, 52 wins, 13 knockouts, 5 draws, and 32 losses. He had a 15% KO streak. He began his professional debut in 1950, and he lost to world champions Joey Giardello, who was a middleweight champion, and Kid Gavilan, who was a welterweight champion. But he would defeat some champions as well. Johnny Saxton, who was a welterweight, Gene Foreman, middleweight, Paul Pender, middleweight, and Carl Bobo Olsen, who was a middleweight champion of the world. Now, after Ralph Tigar Jones retired, he drove a taxi cab in the city and became a caddy for a local golf course. I'm going to want to talk about a fight between Doug Jones and Sugar Ray Robinson. But first, let's go through Doug Jones's career. Now, Ralph Tigar Jones, Yonkers, New York middleweight, born March 14th, 1928 in Brooklyn, New York. He stood 5'8" and began his professional career in 1950. He fought on May 27th on a card against a fighter by the name of Jimmy Garcia in Brooklyn and defeated him in 4 rounds. And as you can see here, he would have 4 straight victories, 2 knockouts, and 2 wins. On October 23rd, he would face Kelly Duncan, New York, defeat him in 4 rounds. October 31st, James Burgos, New York, he would knock him out in 2 rounds. 1951, January 13th, he would be knocked out by a fighter by the name of Henry Bergros. This would be in Brooklyn. He would be knocked out in 1 round. He would lose another fight on February 27th against Herbie Hayes in New York. He would lose a 6-round contest. But then he would come back and he would win fighters over Al Nagy, New York, defeat him in 6 rounds. Shelby Langford, New York, he would defeat him in 6 rounds. Roy Carter, New York, he would knock him out in 1 round. Bob Stecker in Portland, Oregon, he would defeat him in 10 rounds. Phil Rizzo in Brooklyn, he would knock him out in 7 rounds. 1952, January 10th, he would face a fighter, up-and-coming fighter, and these are the type of fighters I'm referring to. Bobby Boyd at the time was an up-and-coming fighter. And he fought him in New York, and it was an 8-round draw. So they tried to erase that blemish off of Bobby Boyd's record, and they got him in there again 20 days later with Ralph Tigar Jones in Brooklyn, New York. And Ralph Tigar Jones would defeat Bobby Boyd in 8 rounds. I want to show you Bobby Boyd. Now here you have Bobby Boyd. Like I said, he was an up-and-coming fighter. Doing everything right until he ran into the ring with Ralph Tigar Jones. And, that's the whole thing. Ralph Tigar Jones was a spoiler. He was a very good fighter. He just was on the B level. He just couldn't get past that certain thing that you needed to be A-level status. Didn't have those tools. But he would defeat a fighter in a heartbeat that came in and thought that they would run over him. March 8th, Rocky Castellani, Brooklyn, New York. He would lose to him in 8 rounds. Rocky Castellani was a fantastic fighter. He just was. As you can see here, he would lose to Jimmy Herring in Brooklyn. August 18th, he would lose to him in 8 rounds. So he fought a lot in New York. 1953, Rocky Castellani, January 9th, New York. He would lose to him again in 10 rounds. Marvin Elderman, Brooklyn, New York. He would knock him out in 9 rounds, February 9th of 1953. He would face Danny Bang Bang Wapner. He would face him 3 times in the year of 1953. He would face him February 17th, March 16th. Milwaukee and Brooklyn. He would receive a 10-round victory and a 10-round draw. Then on June 27th, he would face Danny Bang Bang Wapner again in Syracuse, New York, and he would defeat him this time in 10 rounds. Fascinating. August 26th, Kid Gavilan, a Cuban Hawk, New York. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Kid Gavilan was a fantastic welterweight. Fought Sugar Ray Robinson twice, once in Philadelphia. That was one hell of a fight. Decision went to Robinson, rightfully so. Gavilan would defeat Johnny Saxton. He would solidify the welterweight championship. With that fight over Johnny Bratton, 1954. March 8th, he would face Texas Bobby Dykes in Brooklyn. He would knock him out in 10 rounds. Bobby Dyke was from Texas. He was about 6 foot tall, very good boxer. And so that 10-round knockout really helped boost Ralph Tigar Jones' career. Pedro Gonzalez, May 24th, New York. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Pedro Gonzalez was an outstanding fighter. September 24th, Joey Giardello would be middleweight champion of the world, Philadelphia, in his hometown. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Hector Constance, another good fighter, November 12th, New York. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. December 4th, Peter Mueller, Rochester, New York. Now he would lose to Peter Mueller. Peter Mueller fought Laszlo Papp, and that was just a crazy fight at the end. Mueller went crazy. He was trying to knock everybody over in the ring. He was upset about the decision. Laszlo Papp, as you know, was an Olympic phenomenon. He would win 3 Olympics. Fantastic fighter was Laszlo Papp. So Peter Mueller defeated Ralph Tigar Jones. 1955, January 19th, the fight I would like to discuss. Sugar Ray Robinson in Chicago. And Ralph Tigar Jones would get that victory over Sugar Ray Robinson. Let's just complete the career of Ralph Tigar Jones. February 16th, Carl Bobo Olsen, Chicago. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. April 8th, Georgie Johnson, St. Louis. Knock him out in 5 rounds. May 13th, Eduardo Lassi. Devastating puncher to the body. New York. Lost to him in 10 rounds. June 17th, Tough Ernie Durando. Another tough fighter. New York. Knock him out in 6 rounds. Good victory. September 23rd, Chris Christensen. Another good fighter. Cleveland, Ohio. Defeat him in 10 rounds. October 12th, Al Andrews, Miami, Florida. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. November 9th, Johnny Saxton, Oakland, California. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Now look at this year, 1955. And this is the spoiler I was talking about. Al Andrews, Chris Christensen. These are 2 up-and-coming fighters. Ray Robinson, making a comeback after 30 months off out of the ring. 1956. He would knock out Tony Baldoni. Washington, knock him out in 6 rounds. Charlie Hubbs, good fighter, New York, he would defeat him in 10 rounds. Gene Foreman, Cleveland, lose to him in 10 rounds. As you know, Gene Foreman was middleweight champion of the world. Jesse Turner, another good fighter, Portland, he would defeat him in 10 rounds. Wilfie Grieve, out of Canada, Washington was the fight, and defeat him in 10 rounds. Charlie Hubbs, again, in Paris, that was his hometown, he would lose to him in 10 rounds in November 19th. 1957, Hardy Smallwood, Cleveland, Ohio, he defeated him in 10 rounds, January 18th. Arthur King, March 25th, Toronto, he would defeat him in 10 rounds. April 12th, Chico Vijar, Syracuse, New York, he would defeat him in 10 rounds. Very good victory, because Chico Vijar was a very, very good fighter. He'd fight Joe Gray, Gene Foreman. He would lose to the rest of these fighters, Willie Vaughn, Del Flanagan, and Joey Giardello. Giardello, as I said, would be middleweight champion, as Gene Foreman as well. 1958, February 19th, Kid Gavilan, Miami Beach. He would defeat Gavilan in 10 rounds. And see, that's a monumental victory for Ralph Tigar Jones. April 4th, Gavilan would come back in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he would defeat Ralph Tigar Jones. Rory Calhoun, I talked about him. November 21st and December 15th, New York and Cleveland. He would defeat Calhoun in 10 rounds on November 21st, and he would lose to Calhoun in 10 rounds on December 15th in the year 1958. 1959, January 28th, he would face Joey Giardello in Louisville, Kentucky. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. March 17th, Paul Pinder, Boston. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. May 18th, Joey Giamba, Dallas, Texas, lose to him in 10 rounds. Another good fighter. June 26th, Victor Zalza, New York. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. Paul Pinder would be middleweight champion of the world. He would defeat Sugar Ray Robinson for the title and then defeat him again on a rematch. 1960. And here you have 1960, February 3rd, Wilfie Grieve, Chicago. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. March 28th, he would face Willie Green in Providence and knock him out in 7 rounds. So here you have it. Ralph Tigar Jones, like I said, was a spoiler. He would lose and win fights, but he was a very, very good fighter. Now I want to get to this fight with Sugar Ray Robinson and Ralph Tigar Jones. Now Ray Robinson was 85-0 coming out of the amateurs with 69 knockouts. He had 40 knockouts in the very first round of his amateur career. Fantastic. He turned professional October 4th, 1940 at the age of 19 on the undercard of Henry Armstrong and Fitzy Zivit, their first fight. And that was a very good stage for Sugar Ray Robinson. But the thing with Ray Robinson, from 1943 to 1951, he had 91 unbeaten streak. Just think about that for a moment. From 1943 to 1951, he remained undefeated 91 times. Fantastic. He was 128, 1-2, and 84 knockouts. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson was off for 30 months. And his first comeback fight was Joe Ryden. And he fought him 2 weeks before Ralph Tigar Jones. So that wasn't much of a tune-up opportunity for Sugar Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson stood 5'10" and had a 72.5-inch reach. Ralph Tigar Jones was 5'8". That fight took place January 19th, 1955. Robinson fought Ralph Tigar Jones at Chicago Stadium, Chicago, Illinois. The referee was Frank Sakura. And he had to score 94-99 for Jones. Judge Ed Hitz, 88-100 for Jones. Judge Howard Walsh, 89-98 for Jones. Unofficial scorecard was 95-99 for Jones. So the score was unanimous. Robinson was an 8-1 favorite. to defeat Ralph Tigar Jones. That was an upset of the year. Everybody had their money on Ray Robinson. The attendance was 7,282. That was the scheduled ticket sales at the Chicago Stadium. Gross receipts at the gate, 27,419. Net gate was 22,778. Robinson was cut on his nose in the first round. And in the second round, he suffered a cut above his right eyelid. Jones landed 322 of 407 punches, which means he had a 57%. Robinson landed 176 of 514 punches thrown, which means he had a 34%. That is unheard of for Ray Robinson. So all credit to Ralph Tigar Jones for that. So I just wanted to recognize Ralph Tigar Jones. Phenomenal fighter. And like I said, records don't mean anything. It's the fighter himself. So salute to Ralph Tigar Jones. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute to my subscribers. That was a phenomenal fight in Chicago. Thanks for watching. Peace.